Hello everyone, this is theStC here, back with some more Starcraft 2 Wings of Liberty action. This time is going to be a continuation of the last series between Vortix down in the bottom left side. And up on the top right side, it is going to be Acer's Scarlett. It is getting pretty down to the wire now, as it could potentially end in one game, but it could also potentially end in two, as it is a best of five. So we're going to be continuing on through this series. I do want to talk about a couple of things, as per usual. Number one, I am casting this a day or so later than I had anticipated. My voice actually started to go out in the last video, and so I did take a little bit of a break. It was like a day or something like that, and I'm now back. My voice is re-energized, and I've taken a little bit of a break from that, just because I got to make sure to pace myself, because I was getting pretty darn excited during those last games. So anyways, Scarlett in the top right side. Since casting that last game, do you know who Scarlett just beat at MLG? A lot of you may, but she just beat Bomber, the player sponsored by Red Bull, and of course he is a Korean player as well. Again, one of the most outstanding players out there. Is it because ZvZ is overpowered, or is it because Scarlett is overpowered? I will let you guys decide, but my god, her playstyle is awesome. Definitely keep an eye out for her, guys. I know I've said it a lot, but at the same time, she's beating players like Bomber with her first series of the entire tournament. Imagine who she could possibly beat and upset in the upcoming days. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. I will keep you guys updated, because that is what I do. We do have a spawning pool going to be going down here for Vortix. We do have a hatchery first out of Scarlett here. So again, a bit of a risk. I mean, anytime you see a hatchery first opener out of ZvZ, it is a little bit of a risk. I would say versus Terran, it's relatively safe. We don't see a lot of 2-Raxes or anything like that anymore. But in ZvZ, while it is a standard build, it can still put you at risk to the spawning pool first opening builds. We'll see exactly how Vortix decides to play this out. He does decide to go ahead and go for that hatchery after spawning pool, so we're not going to see a ton of lings. We're not going to see... Oh my goodness, excuse me. We're not going to be seeing a super early queen, I guess. I don't know how else to explain this, other than it is still safe and it is still macro-oriented, but it does give you the option to put on pressure should you need to. Right now it looks like they're just settling some lag issues there, but the hatchery going to be finishing up here for Scarlett, and Scarlett does have a spawning pool finally going to be going down. We also have the extractor going down. Who's going to get gas first? It does look like Scarlett will be the one who decides to take that route. Now, this does give Vortix the ability to get that second queen right away as soon as this hatchery is done, and Scarlett currently sitting at 300 minerals, so that's going to be for double queen, as well as a couple of zerglings, I would assume, kind of sprinkled in. Nope, decides to go ahead and go for those drones first, but a couple of zerglings on this map going to be very useful for grabbing those watchtowers. Not a whole lot of movement can take place. If your opponent has the watchtowers, that is going to get detected. It's also relatively easy to secure the watchtower on your side on this map, so you can see exactly what's coming your way before it manages to make it all the way to your base. And you can see right there, Vortix able to get that queen down on the low ground. And I'm as always in ZvZ, I'm kind of curious to see exactly which build starts for both of these players, how they're going to start diversifying right around the 4 to 5 minute mark. Are you going to see a ridiculous early third base? Are you going to be seeing some sort of roach timing? Are you going to be seeing the more standard, just getting the metabolic boost? When are you going to see the gas timings? There's really a lot of different options for ZerG players at this stage of the game. Scarlett trying to find an overlord there. Wasn't so lucky. This overlord right here is going to be relatively safe as well. And you can see Scarlett is intentionally scouting around with the queens here to try and spot if there's any stray overlords, because it's not necessarily about killing the overlords, but it's about hiding your tech as long as possible. Even though it's hard in ZvZ to do such a thing, it is still very important to try your hardest. Now right now we do have a Roach Warren on the way for Vortix here. Gotta say, Roach Warrens tend to be a great choice. We still have only 2 Zerglings on the way for Vortix, which where are those Zerglings? Actually, there they are, moving out finally. But definitely a macro game out of both these players. We do have a Baneling Nest on the way for Scarlett, Zergling Speed on the way as well, and Lair Tech. So this could actually end up backfiring for Scarlett, because she went, number 1, she went really heavy macro, so that's going to hurt her here a little bit. Number 2, she's going for a Baneling Nest, which is not going to help that much versus the Roaches. And number 3, we have triple gas going to be coming down right now. So I'm not exactly sure what Scarlett's plan is here, but it doesn't look like Vortix is going to be going for mini Roaches right now anyway. Does decide, though, this is very important, does decide to put down those 2 creep tumors, because Scarlett, one of the best creep spreaders in the business, look what she's doing. Not spreading creep at all. She does not want her opponent getting to her base quicker. That's why she's playing more defensives. She's got the defensive banelings. She's got a couple of Zerglings out on the field just trying to scout around. The Zergling speed is done. That's actually a defensive upgrade right now because you can spot what your opponent is doing much more quickly. So on the flip side, Vortix says, hey, I want to get to her base quickly. Got to go ahead and do the creep spread. These two creep tumors are ready as well. Can begin spreading down that ramp. And you know exactly why. We have Zergling speed, but more importantly, we have the Roach tech now on the way. And as long as Vortix can keep this hidden, this could prove to be quite a nuisance here for Scarlett. Now we do have a Mutalisk, the Spire on the way, so Mutalisk tech is an option, but the real question is that going to be the choice, correct choice, versus this many Roaches? Because Roaches, while they do move slow, they don't take that much damage from Mutalisk, especially if they spawn with that +1 armor. They spawn with 145 HP, so Mutalisk, even if it's up in the air, not getting shot down, is still not going to be able to do all that much damage. We do have a couple Banelings going to be morphing up over here. So you can see Vortix is definitely gearing up for some sort of timing attack. 16 Lings on the way, Overlord on the way, 8 Banelings are morphing right here now. And it does look like Vortix may be out for blood. Might try and end this game almost immediately, but that's kind of how ZvZ is. It can be long-term, but it can also be extremely short-term. A very volatile matchup here. And we do have Scarlett. You can see all of a sudden realizing exactly what's going to be happening here. A lot of Spine Crawlers. I mean, a lot of Spine Crawlers going to be coming down. Those Banelings do get some nice hits, but can these ones... No, I think she manually detonated them. Oh no, I think that was a huge mistake by Scarlett, possibly a misclick. Is she going to end up losing another game because of her own error? It looks like the answer may be yes. The Spine Crawlers are almost done. There they are. They are going to be trapping those Roaches, but not that trapped because they're just going to be running inside the main base. Quite a bit of damage dealt here by both players. We'll see exactly how this shapes up, but the fact that Scarlett is having to move away these drones just shows you how bad a shape she's actually in. Might lose the Spire, might lose the Lair or the spawning pool. Either way, could be crippling damage. Spine Crawlers here are going to be able to deal with this. The Mutalisk, though, there's only 4. 2 more are going to be on the way, but that's only a total of 6. Yes, I'm great at math, and 6 Mutalisks to take on this many Roaches is just not going to work out no matter how you slice it. And right now, Scarlett's slicing it to try and reduce the amount of damage at the natural, try and clean up these Roaches to make it worth it. But guess what? The Spire is going to go down. I at least believe so. It's getting dangerously low on HP. The Mutalisk trying to clean it up, but it was not meant to be. At least I think it wasn't meant to be. No, it wasn't. Down goes the Spire. Even the spawning pool going to start taking some damage here. There goes the hatchery inside the main base. Zerglings and Banelings going to be denying the potential for a desperation third base here. We're going to have to go back and watch that Baneling detonation, see if it was manually controlled or if somehow Vortix got the absolute best Baneling hit ever, but I definitely think that was a big mistake here by Violet. Or not Violet, excuse me. Not even playing in this game. Scarlett. So we will see exactly how Scarlett manages to play this out with the Mutalisk here, but we already have a lot of queens on the field here for the Zerg opponent. 4 on the way with the 5th one in construction, plus the Spore Crawlers on the way. So what Vortix is doing right now is playing it so safe that he's like driving his car with his seatbelt on. He has another seatbelt on that just wraps around the other part of his body. I don't know, he's got his helmet on. He's got one of those NASCAR racing things around his neck, and he's also wearing a football outfit. And so he's in American football, not to confuse everyone out there. And so he's not going to die in a crash anytime soon, and that crash is in the form of these handful of Mutalisks. Yes, they're going to kill a couple Overlords here and there, but is it going to be enough to get Scarlett back in this game? And let's take a look at the units tab. 25 drones to 39. Units lost here. A lot more heavily in favor of Vortix here. And even though it's only 300 resources, that does make a big difference. Unless Scarlett can get this expansion up, she is going to be behind for quite some time. Now we do have more of the creep thread going on, so you can see Vortix is not ready to give up this this Roach timing possibility here. Working on the +1, working on the glial reconstitution is Vortix, so he's going to be in pretty gosh darn good shape for this game. And we do see pathogen glands going to be on the way, so that should be a tech advantage here. I would consider, even though it takes about the same amount of time, I would consider infestors with pathogen glands to be a tech advantage over Mutalisk, just because you get the fungals, you get the infested Terrans. Really, everything an infestor does is good versus Mutalisk here, so you have to control your Mutalisk perfectly, which means one misclick and you literally lose the game instantly. 5 drones on the way, though, for Scarlett to try and play catch-up, but it's one of those things where getting a little bit behind in the early game can snowball out of control in the late game. And even though this looks about the same on the units lost here, I mean, again, this speaks volumes. 37 drones to 46. There's a couple of Mutalisks here. Yes, Scarlett's killing off creep, but honestly, creep isn't that important in ZvZ, at least in all 3 of the matchups. It is least important in this one, because you're still going to have Zerglings, you're still going to have fast Roaches, and you almost, well, sometimes you do see the Hydralisks, but they're usually going to be used in the center of the map with the rest of your army anyway. You see the overseer going to be moving out. Now, Scarlett is being as active with these mutalisks as she can be. Try to kill a couple of drones here or there. We do have infestors on the way and double queen on the way. This is a very interesting choice here. I want to say Vortix is up to 7 queens with 2 more on the way. 7, 8, 9. Yep, we're counting on our fingers to make sure we do that math right. We do have 9 queens in this ZvZ. This is actually absurd. You never, ever, ever, ever see this many queens in this matchup, and it looks like he is going to go for it. He is actually going to be aggressive with these queens, deciding to poop a couple of creep tumors on the way. But other than that, I don't think that these couple of mutalisks can really do that much. It's got to be up to Scarlett's roach count, and does Scarlett have enough roaches right now? Currently 6 on the field with 10 more on the way. So it might actually be enough to hold this, but is it enough to save the expansion? I don't think so. And the Overlord's trying to get out there. The mutalisks here not going to be able to do all that much in this upcoming battle. The Queen's got to be able to kill them off relatively quickly. Now, how good are the transfuses going to be? That's actually the question we are all asking right now, because can the transfuses actually save these roaches long enough for them to do massive damage? I think the most important thing, though, is these infestors. One mutalisk right here trying to absorb a fungal, trying to absorb any damage that it can, but it does get taken out immediately by the queens. The queens do have +1 attack, not something you see very often, but they do 10 damage with a range of 7. That is areas. Here comes the infested Terrans. The roaches not going to be able to deal with this directly. Even fungals could be thrown out, but the infested Terrans, I think that's the right choice. The transfuses on the roaches. Scarlett might actually lose in this. We could go to a game 5, and what a climactic game 4 this would be with queens in the mix. Got to be doing ridiculous transfuses, ridiculous heals on every single unit. The queens here are going to be able to clean up these mutalisks as well. And you know what? If you're going to end up losing a game, it might as well be to something like this. Vortix able to force it with a completely wacky build into game number 5. But before we go check out that game, I do want to see that Baneling attack here. Is that what set Scarlett behind? Because it definitely did not do her any good. And I do feel like Scarlett, while she is still a great player, can still make some pretty basic mistakes. So that's something that she absolutely has to watch out for. But you know what? She's still in this series and might be able to take game number 5. We are about to find out, though. All right, so Scarlett right here decides to throw down a ridiculous amount of spike crawlers, which is awesome. I think that's a great read, a great idea. Even doing a little bit of creeps right here might have helped out. Now, I want to watch this in slow motion. Keep an eye on these Banelings. I think, unless these 2 Banelings right here detonate that perfectly, I want to see, because the first Baneling's probably going to detonate first, and so they're going to... Oh, no, I don't think it was a manual detonation, actually. I think it actually was the best Baneling hit ever. Can we back it up just a tiny bit? Right there. Right there. And we'll watch it just one more time in slow motion. I'm actually not sure. Still, I don't think it's manual detonation. That would be a huge mistake. All right, so there's that hit. And then look, these 2 Banelings right here. It looks like the queens are trying to focus them down, and these 2 Banelings right here, I think, end up causing, or maybe it was a manual detonation. It's like impossible to tell, but either way, that was not good news for Scarlett, because right at this second you can see units tab here, no Banelings remaining, no actual units on the field versus 12 roaches. That's why she ended up being so far behind. Yes, she did have the roach advantage, or the drone advantage, but losing these Banelings was way too much to recover from. So we are going to be going on to game number 5. I do hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time.